This two-piece golden troop increases your elemental skill damage by 45%, and then another 25% when you're not on the field. So 70% increased skill damage when not on the field. This is incredibly strong. Nice job, Fischl. You now have, like, what is going to be your best in slot set. GG. Yeah, and here's the thing. Between switching in and using her skill, that would eat up about 2 seconds. And then switching out would eat up about maybe half to 1 second, depending on your latency. And then you just like 1 to 1.5 seconds, and you get the extra 25% bonus up again. So realistically, because most skills that deal damage are not necessarily dealing damage at like time 0, like immediately when you summon them, they'll either miss the first like proc of the 70% damage and only have 45%, or they will get this bonus kind of no matter what, because by the time the, you know, this sort of negative penalty wears off, they'll be doing their first hit or maybe their second hit or something like that. So I think for a lot of characters this is going to be really good for off-field damage. Anyone want to do a Xiangling Goba build with 70% Goba damage? Normal and charge attack plus 15. When current HP increases or decreases, crit rate will be increased by 12% for 5 seconds, max 3 stacks. That's very interesting. And it's got a flask, a literal flask. Nice. And a mustache. This is the headpiece? It's just like a mustache mask? Okay. Also, I love the way this set looks. This may be one of my favorite looking sets now. I really like this. This one I don't really like the look as much, but I like the mustache and the like gear monocle. So normal and charge attacks and crit rate when your HP increases or decreases. If this also had plunging, it'd be nice for Zhao. As soon as they implement Vermilion, they're like, haha, now this to farm. Except yeah, no, not really, not for Zhao. Normal and charge attack and when HP increases or decreases. So the thing is, like, some people might be like, oh, great for Hu Tao, except you're gonna need your HP to constantly be fluctuating, because this only lasts for 5 seconds. And do you want to stay on Hu Tao for longer than that? And you need it to hit like 3 fluctuations in a few seconds. It doesn't say whether or not these stacks are counted independently, which I would like to know. I feel like they would be, and what that means is if your HP decreases or increases 3 times, but then doesn't for 5 seconds, I think 1 stack may fall off. Hopefully not all 3. So instead of losing 36% extra crit rate, you only lose 12. But that's something that we'll have to, like, you know, look at and see. This seems like it's going to be... These are obviously for Fontaine characters, and I really don't like that this has an HP increase or decrease, which means a lot of characters' health is going to go up and down a lot. I have a feeling this is probably more of the Archon set than this one is, because one of these sets that they introduce is almost always for the Archon, right? We've got Deepwood for Nahida. When that was introduced, we had Deepwood and Gilded, so Deepwood's really good for Nahida. And then in Inazuma, they introduced Emblem and Shiminawa, and Emblem obviously for Raiden. So the Hydro Archon looks like she's either going to be an elemental skill damage character that doesn't want to stay on the field, or she's going to be a normal and charge attack character that is constantly losing and or gaining her own health to increase her crit rate. So I'm kind of curious about that, and I would hope that she's the elemental skill type and not the other way around, because I don't really like when characters lose a bunch of their health, but who knows, who knows. So these are interesting. If you can keep up some of their conditions, they're really, really good. Huge bonus for Fischl. I feel like there's going to be some characters in the future that are going to be more off-field, and this also gives me like good hope that we're going to have more characters that are off-field damage dealers, and that's really nice because those are really valuable characters. Imagine having more Fischl, like more Fischl style characters but in other elements, like Hydro Fischl or Dendro Fischl or Pyro Fischl, and then maybe Xiangling can finally like take a breather and we can have a Pyro elemental skill character that's similar. So this gives me hope for a lot of character designs in the future. I hope it is worthy of multiple characters and not just like 1 or 2. They obviously have this planned for a Fontaine character, but we'll see. Fits Fossil design a bit better. Golden Troop. You're right, it does fit her design a bit better. It is more regal. Off-field pyro character, please. I know. How do you think about the second set working in Burgeon team for Ayato? Crit rate, normal attack damage. I like the idea, actually. I like the idea for a Burgeon Ayato. The thing is, most healers in the game heal in large chunks, where this would be good for Burgeon Ayato would be Burgeon Ayato with Yao Yao. So like Xiangling, Ayato, Nahida, and Yao Yao or something like that seems like it would be good, because Yao Yao's healing heals once in like a chunk, and then it has a heal over time, and the heal over time would count for this increase or decrease because it's a slow tick up. And so every time you're getting that heal over time, it's proccing this and refreshing the stacks. So I think if you did something like Ayato Burgeon or something, or yeah, even Child Burgeon would be fine with this set too. It could be pretty nice. And Ayato, does Ayato ascend with crit rate, or does he ascend with crit damage? I think it's crit damage. But either way, like, this seems like it could be very nice for him. He's kind of got, like, I mean, Echoes, which is his own, like, supposed to be personal set, doesn't even work for him very well, especially if you have high latency. You can miss some of the stacks and some of, like, the charges. So this is very interesting. Crit is always very useful, and if you don't have to build as much crit rate and you can focus on things like attack, crit damage, energy recharge, that makes things even better. That's, yeah, it is 36% crit rate. Looks like it'll suit aesthetic wise. Oh, yeah, you're right. But then again, like, and this is something that has been talked about with developers before, is the Shiminawa set looks like it's designed for Yae Miko because it's Shrine Maiden and it's red and white, similar to her design, but it's not really a good set for her. You definitely don't want to reduce her energy so that you can make your normal and charge attacks hit harder. But that's also because originally Yae was planned to be an on-field character and not this sort of like switch burst support, skill damage character. Speaking of which, this would be a really good set for Yae too. Skill damage, more skill damage. So that would also be pretty good for her. If you're not using her in like Aggravate, where you wanted the EM and attack and stuff. Anyways, so even if this looks like it fits a character, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the best for them, because they've gone back and forth with their designs where they say, okay, this set's going to match them, but Shiminawa, which looks more like it'll be for Yae, ends up being better for like Yoimiya. So yeah, these, like, they probably have 1 to 2 characters in mind for these sets. One of them's likely going to be the Archon, one of them's likely going to be another 5-star. So we'll see. Fischl also, yeah, Fischl was the first person I thought of Phoenix. And I'm curious if this is additive or multiplicative, because if you just add 20% and then add 25 and then add another 25, that ends up being 70. But it could be something where it's 20% and then it's another 25% of 20% and then another 25% of that 25. So hopefully it's 70% skill damage and not 30%. So I hope this like actually all adds together and it ends up being 70% and not less than half of that. How do you think about on-field Ayato with Yao Yao, Nihida, Nilou Bloom team with this artifact? Nilou Bloom with that artifact. Now that is interesting. So normal and charge attack Ayato with extra crit rate for him. You've got Nilou Bloom and then like Nahida. I think it would be hard to pull off well. You're going to run into some problems where Ayato is applying so much Hydro, you would need your Dendro characters to have a lot of EM, and they would have to be the ones proccing Bloom to make the Bloom really good. So it would work, but it's going to be weird to like be consistent, because both Yao Yao and Nihida would probably need very high EM, and then you could probably make it work. But outside of that, it would be hard to proc well. But it's a good idea. Imagine having a Hunter set plus Homa on Zhao. Now that's a combo I'd like to try. The thing is, Gels, it doesn't buff plunging damage, which is unfortunate, but yes. If it did buff plunging attack damage, and you could like get this much crit and focus on something else, you'd have to get a lot of attack rolls though, to make up for the difference between it and Vermilion. I think like not doing any math or anything, but just based on kind of the value of attack versus crit and like how much Vermilion gives you, I think they would be very, very close. If you actually like calculated everything, calculated if this had plunging attack damage and if this also increased your crit rate versus the attack you get from Vermilion, I think they'd end up being really, really similar. I don't think this would like blow it out of the water. It would make Zhao easier to build because you wouldn't need as many crit rolls, and that's really nice. But I think like all things staying equal, this set and Vermilion would be very similar. All right, well that's a lot about that. That was cool.